Welcome to Freezer Milk Podcast. I'm your host, Bridget, along with my husband, Chris. Podcast where we talk about the comedic side and serious side of parenting, life, and relationships. We are boy parents. We have two boys, Enzo and Rhett, with about a 6-year age gap between the two. You can check out our website, freezermilk.com. Also, feel free to follow us on Instagram at Freezer Milk Podcast. Thanks and hope you enjoy. All right, guys, welcome back.
What's going on, everybody? We got a show for you.
So we were talking tonight and figured we would just start recording because it was a good conversation about how hard it is to have sex with the current age Rhett is at, which is he's coming up on 9 months this week. And it is the stranger danger, separation anxiety, I never want to be without my mom or my dad ever for 2 seconds, and I don't like to nap phase.
Yeah, it's frustrating to say the least, but
in more ways than one.
Yeah, in more ways than one.
Sexually frustrated, emotionally frustrated, relationship frustrated.
Yeah, he is very demanding right now, and he relies heavily on one of us, if not both of us. He likes to have both of us to himself all the time, our attention, and it makes it very difficult for sex.
Like we're pretty creative. I feel like we're more creative than most people, maybe.
Yeah.
That are married with 2 kids.
Yeah, I mean, there's people out there that just don't.
Yeah.
You know?
Like we are not opposed to morning sex, lunchtime sex, quickie, afternoon break sex.
Night sex, in the middle of the night sex.
In the middle of the night, like 3 a.m., wake up and have sex, or, babies up to nurse and put them back to sleep and then have sex. Like, we're not picky on it.
No.
But we're definitely having a lot less currently than what we used to.
Yeah.
And we have a very healthy sex life. It's just less than our normal right now. And
it can always be healthier.
It's just a struggle. Like, I think it affects us,
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
I think so, too.
I think it was easier, too. So, if you talk to friends about it, they'll just say, you have to just be creative when you have kids. Like, we are creative. It doesn't have to be in a bed with the lights off. We can have sex in lots of random places and we've mastered the art of having very fast sex on purpose. Because with kids, like, you have to be quick about it, You don't get gobs and gobs of time to enjoy as much. So you learned how to enjoy it in a very short spurt. But with Rhett, when he was younger, I think it was a lot easier because we could just put him in a swing and tell Enzo to, come watch TV and watch his brother for a minute because we were going to go lay down. And Enzo never questioned it.
No, he's none the wiser.
I know, as he gets older, he's going to probably click one day and be like, oh, gross!
It's going to be so traumatic for him.
And then he's going to realize, oh.
Little did you know.
But now that Rhett is older, we can't put him... So he has a bouncer. We can put him in his bouncer and have, Enzo hang out with him. But he watches us walk away from the living room. His head is, on a freaking pivot.
It's on a swivel, for sure.
He just... As soon as you get up and start walking anywhere, you could be going to the bathroom, you could be going to get some water out of the fridge, that kid is like a hawk. I'm just watching you, and the further you get away, the angrier I'm about to get.
Oh, it's like that in the mornings. Because I come out here first and I bring him out here and I'll set him on his little play area, and we've got couches that are a little bit taller than he is, so he can't see past the couches. And I'll be in the kitchen trying to make something, and he'll see me walk away and he just freaks because he just wants to see you. He wants you to be in his sights at all times.
Mm-hmm. Especially when he first wakes up.
And if you're trying to have sex, that doesn't make it very easy.
No.
Because the last thing you want is your baby to watch you have sex.
Yeah. Just messes with everything. I think, too, it's just challenging. So, before Rhett came along, Enzo was at the age that he's very self-sufficient. He's very much an independent player. He's very much, he'll go watch his TV or read a book or color or play Legos.
But I think it's more than that. He wouldn't deviate from that either. You say, hey, go in your playroom and watch TV. He would just sit there. He wouldn't come out. He wouldn't. You could trust him to just sit there and watch his TV. And obviously, Rhett is not at an age where he can do that.
Yeah. Enzo doesn't even like, he would never even knock on our door.
No, not even. Nope. I didn't have to put a tie out or anything.
I think, do you remember? I think it was like when he was probably 5. I don't know if he knocked on the door. The door was locked. Knocked on the door, he like yelled your name or something like during sex and while we were having sex.
What do we do now?
Yes? What do you need?
It's very awkward, but he's only done that a handful of times.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to come with a balance. I think it's going to come with, us, finding the right moments and just capitalizing on those.
Trying to be more creative.
Yep. Trying to be even more creative than we already have to be.
Yeah.
Because obviously we need it, and it's something that is a big part of our relationship, and we need to have that as, that time, because I think
something that makes it challenging too is that we have Rhett here for childcare. So he doesn't go anywhere, which we've done by choice, and we love that. He's here because we get to spend a lot more time with him. He gets to nurse. If you're having a frustrating phone call at work, you can get off your call and just come get him to laugh for 2 seconds. Like, that helps out a ton. But it also means that we normally have somebody here at our house.
All the time. Yeah, and that was one thing that we were big on because we were both working from home, and we could escape that, and if we needed to, take a break and do what we needed to do, and
minus sex.
And that's how we did it. That worked for us. But we don't have that luxury now, especially when my mom comes here to watch Rhett. So
yeah, not having sex while she's here, not happening.
Oh, come on. It's I don't know. I know it's a season. I know it's something that's gonna eventually blow over. I know that again, we're just doing this right now, but I'm looking forward to when we're able to do what we
had a ton of sex when I was pregnant.
Oh, I know, but a lot of that was on you because I don't know if your libido was extra or what, but it was up there for sure.
We had a lot of sex.
We kept busy.
It was not easy.
No, it wasn't. With your big old belly?
Yeah.
It made it very difficult.
Yeah. There was definitely some comedic moments that happened.
Oh, yeah. That's a whole different thing. Having sex when you're pregnant, especially if you're, when you first are pregnant, I was terrified to have sex with you because I was always so concerned I was going to hurt the baby.
Yeah, every guy is.
Putting weight on the baby, on your stomach, et cetera, et cetera. And then you got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you had this giant gut, and not gut, but big old stomach.
So sexy.
Big old stomach that I had to work around, and man, I was terrified because I would feel him move, and it would freak me out. I was like, "Oh my God, how are we supposed to do this? I can't concentrate." Unbelievable. He would just throw an elbow or throw a leg, and or I'd see the whole stomach move, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, dude knows I'm here. He's not happy about it. He wants me to go away."
What is it the doctors always tell you? Semen softens the cervix.
No, yeah. Well, we tested that theory.
Have lots of sex.
Yes. For all the male listeners out there, they're get your women pregnant because something happens, something sparks, and they go crazy.
I feel like it more so kicked in once I got past being really sick.
Yeah, for sure. Because you were sick for 20 weeks, 22 weeks.
21,
something like that.
Yeah, it was 21 weeks.
That was constant.
Yeah.
But again, the seasons, you go through your ebbs and flows. And
well, it's right now, we kind of have to family date. Our dates are doing stuff with each other, but one, if not two kids in tow. Yeah, no,
I was sitting in the office the other day, and I was thinking about how I can date my wife. I'm like, how do I date Bridget? We used to date. When we had Enzo, we had him 50% of the time. So we had date nights, regularly. We were always going to comedy shows or movies or the lake or whatever we were doing. We were always doing something, and we haven't been able to do that for a very long time. The last date we went on was to a place right up the street where we got a couple of drinks, and we were able to, hire somebody to come watch Rhett.
Was it Rose? Rose watched him, I think.
No, remember we had...
Oh, yeah. No, that was, some high schooler.
But that was it.
He was already asleep.
That was a long time ago. And it's just, I was sitting there thinking...
We watched him, we did a lake date.
No, that's right. Yeah. And I was just thinking, hey, my mom invited us to go to Zoo Lights. I'm like, it's not exactly a date, an individual date, but at least she can push the stroller and we can hang back and kind of have a date night way.
Have Enzo go with his cousin.
Yeah, have Enzo go with his cousins and we'll just hang back. But It's like, we're there, we're on, you know, you're constantly on as a parent. And it's hard to bring yourself like out of that mentality. And I've noticed that, like with you, your head, you know, is moving and your brain's going in a million miles in every other direction. So it's very hard to get you to kind of just slow down and enjoy and savor that moment, and that makes it difficult, I think.
Yeah, it's hard because we've mastered the art of having fast sex or a quickie, but it's it's harder now to get my head in the right headspace.
Yep.
To be able to fully like be in that moment and enjoy and not be thinking about, is Enzo watching Rhett? Is Rhett still asleep? Is, you know, whatever is happening, or any of that. Is hard sometimes for me to get out of my head.
Yeah, and it you know, for me, it takes just a little bit more time for me to kind of pull you away.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm fine with that as long as we've got the extra time to do that, and I don't have a screaming baby or whatever the case may be, because that's the quickest way to kind of deter us from doing what we need to do. But
do you appreciate, or I know like it bothers you, like if I'm not quote unquote satisfied.
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's frustrating. I think it is for any guy, though. I think they get kind of...
They feel like they didn't accomplish the
mission?
Yeah,
they exactly. That's just it. I mean, because, you know, growing up and your whole life, you're told that if you can't satisfy a woman, you're kind of not a man, kind of deal. And it kind of takes a toll, like, and especially if you're, you know, if we're in and out and we're really quick about it and something doesn't happen for you, then...
Does it make it better or worse when I tell you, like, hey, this one's for you? Like,
No, I think that actually helps, just so I know what I can set my expectations. Because if I am actually trying and nothing happens for you, then it's like, wow, that just hurt, like, you know, like a dagger. Because that's men. I mean, that's just how we are, and that's how we're wired. And you know, I'll tell you right now, guys, it's okay. You know, like we've had this conversation. You enjoy it.
Yes.
You just might not get to a climax.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And a lot of, especially right now with not having a ton of extra time and, you know, just trying to do anything, a lot of times you just got to enjoy it for what it is.
I feel like that's something that is, I don't know if you feel this way, but I think it is like awesome or cool or nice. Like I don't know that other women would be like, hey, I'm not in the mood, but yes, I'm more than happy to have sex with you, and this is for you.
Yeah, I don't think that... Sex is weird. You know, it's kind of a selfish thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, you know, very many women that would have been like, you know, in my past that would have been like that or been... So that's one thing that I definitely really appreciate about you, is that you're not like, no, you know what?
I'm not in the mood, so we're not doing it.
Yeah, I'm tired or whatever the case may be. And because at the end of the day, it's not really fair, you know?
Yeah.
Because obviously as partners, you're going to be in the mood at different times.
We had a conversation early on in our relationship about the fact that we would try not to turn the other person down.
Absolutely.
When they ask.
And I don't think we ever have, honestly. I don't think.
Yeah. Maybe once or twice I turned down, but it's
probably for good reason.
It's been like, hey, I really don't feel good, or like my stomach's bothering me, or...
Yeah, you got the flu, and I'm like, hey, what's up? You look really hot, you know?
I got mastitis. You know, running like 104 fever, like that, but thanks.
No, again...
We talked about, though. Do you remember we actually took the time to sit down and talk about, hey, like, this is something...
Because it can hurt the other person substantially, and it's not good for a relationship. It can be very toxic.
I think, too, that with that, you know, feeling of, hey, we typically are not going to say no to the other person, even if we're not super feeling it for ourselves, we can still do our best to be, you know, a partner that wants to assist our partner. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of took a lot of pressure off.
Yeah.
And it removed a lot of the anxiety around wanting to, you know, hey, like, I'm kind of in the mood, are you? You know, that nervousness that some people get, or it kind of just removed even, I think, I'm not getting satisfied because my partner's turning me down constantly, so I want to, like, look elsewhere.
Right.
Kind of feeling from our relationship.
Absolutely, I would agree.
So I think it's something that maybe is more unconventional about us, is that we do try to not say no to the other person when they ask. It's very good because it's recognizing that, kind of like you said, like, sex is a selfish act in a way, but again, like, we always try to make sure that the partner's pleased.
Yep.
But I think that it helps us to recognize, like, hey, as your partner, like, I might not be in the mood, and I know I'm not in the right headspace of this is going to, you know, go anywhere for me, but I recognize that this is something that you would like and you would need right now, and I'm going to be quote unquote selfless, and allow myself to assist you in that way, even though I'm not getting anything out of it.
Absolutely. I would agree. I think it's been, it's been very important and healthy for us in our relationship, I think. And, and it actually makes these seasons easier, I think. And then to be honest with you, I look forward to sex even more because I'm like, it's like a challenge. I'm like, ooh, last time maybe she wasn't as satisfied as she could be, but you know what? This time I'm really going to go for it, and we're going to make this happen. And it is. I mean, it's awesome. It's a good thing to want. I love to see you satisfied. I mean, it's like one of my favorite things.
Typically, as a woman, the guy is 99% of the time satisfied, or at least like goes to completion. But I think like maybe twice in the entire time we've known each other, you haven't, and I've been like, I'm broken.
And it freaks you out.
It freaks me out so bad,
it was
bro.
Probably one of the times when you were pregnant and the hand came across the belly, and I was like, oh my God.
I can't do it. No, I'm done.
I'm out.
I think it was one of the times when I was pregnant because I remember I felt very like, does he think I'm disgusting?
But we talked about it afterwards.
We did, because I was
like,
you
were like, you weren't feeling good about it, and I was like,
no.
Look, this had nothing to do with you.
Wow, I feel really fat and ugly right now because you always go to completion and you went the opposite way, and that's never happened.
They say that communication is key, and I couldn't agree more. I'm glad that after those moments, and they're awkward and they're uncomfortable, but we discuss it. So that we know that the other person is feeling a certain way about something, so they don't just, bury that deep down and, it turns into, resentment. And, I think we're really good about communicating after that. Even if it's right after sex and we're like laying there in bed, you'll be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling about this.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I think the one or two times I've turned you down in our lifetime of our relationship, I've always been like, are you okay with this? Don't take it personal.
Right. Yeah.
And I think everybody does if somebody turns you down, especially.
Yeah, but it's not as hard of a pill to swallow. Again, that goes back to just communication and understanding the headspace that your partner's in, and understanding that sex can be a selfish thing, but it shouldn't be. All the time. And I think that's important to remember.
Everybody has the power of choice in a healthy relationship. And I think that's a big thing that, when I say, hey, we make a conscious effort not to say no when the other person asks. It's not that we're saying, oh, it's in an unhealthy way. We're saying we recognize that we can choose to love through this act, even though we aren't getting anything from it, which is really kind of the definition of a relationship.
Right.
It's you should be wanting and willing to do things without an expectation of getting something.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that goes, for some reason, society has said that is not the case with sex. You should be doing it because you want something from it versus choosing to do it to please the other person.
Agreed.
Even if you don't get anything from it.
Yeah, agreed.
We have I'm kind of excited. So I know you don't get excited for going to parties and get-togethers and etc. But for me, I felt like it was another instance of, it's kind of like a family date.
Yeah, we get to do something outside the house.
We get to sit outside the house, and kids are welcome.
Even though the kids will be with us.
But we can kind of shoo them a little bit and, interact with adults and have a family date at a Christmas party that we're going to go to.
Hey, I mean, we take what we can get right now.
Yeah.
Because when we retire and the babies are older and they're grown up, then we're going to date.
Yes.
All the time.
I don't want to be those people that sleep in separate bedrooms.
No, I need your kicking and your body warmth to lull me to sleep at night.
But it's one of those things, I forget who I was talking with the other day. I was talking with somebody, and they were mentioning that their parents have slept in separate rooms for probably 15 years.
Yeah, but I mean, that used to be the norm. I mean, nowadays it's not.
No.
Not with how many times. Not with how many times we change beds.
It's somebody that's our age. Their parents aren't old.
No.
Their parents are in their 50s and 60s, and they used to sleep in the same bedroom, and then
they just don't anymore. Well, I mean, I snore, and you sleep cold, and you have to be bundled up and warm, so I have to I get really hot, so I guess I can kind of understand that, but no, I don't think I ever would want to be in that position where I'm sleeping in a different room, because I travel a lot and I can't sleep in hotels without you, let alone
I feel
sleep in another bedroom in the house.
And I know that marriage is a full-time job, and the longer people are married, the longer they'll tell you that it's a full-time job. But I can't imagine that sleeping in separate rooms is super healthy for your relationship dynamic.
No, I actually rely on sleeping in the bed with you because a lot of times you like spoon up to me, and I mean, seriously, like, or in the morning you wake me up, and that leads into something else.
Rarely get to have sex, but sometimes morning sex.
Yeah, I mean, and that's huge because guys like to be turned on just like women like to be turned on.
Yeah, it just made me sad when I heard that about someone the other day. I was like, man, I don't want to be those people.
We're not gonna be. Speaking of them now, we should take some time.
Oh God.
No, for all you out there, communication is key. I think talk to your partner. Figure out exactly where they're at, where their headspace is, and figure out what their needs are and their expectations are. And, don't let sex be so taboo in your relationship. Talk about it. Talk about sex. Talk about, ask your partner what does it for them, what they need. Make it a selfless thing and have fun with it. Find time. Find time.
We're trying. We're trying to find time.
And we will. We're going to find some time.
And it's a season. That's a big thing, too, is to realize that there are seasons of what it's like to have young children and older children and going through stuff yourself as adults and as a relationship. But there are seasons, and they come and they go.
And don't feel like you're in this alone, because we're all doing this together, guys.
Right.
We appreciate it. We're wrapping it up, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. You can check us out at
FreezerMilk.com
or Instagram.
Freezer Milk Podcast.
Until next week, guys. Thanks.
Don't forget, parenting is a trip. We are all here on the journey with you together. Thanks so much for listening.